Have you ever made any fuck-ups in your career?
Other than doing an interview with David Cameron.
Which was a great story, by the way.
Would I do that again? Probably not. I would say, I think, on the way in, we were talking about, right, the Fact Matter journey. So when I took over Fact Matter, there wasn't a lot of money left. There was really good tech, but we need to work out how to monetize it and productize it and get it to market. This is pre-AI boom, right? So it was difficult to get funding, which is not difficult now. If you've got AI, just slap generative on your AI startup and you've just 10x your funding potential. When I arrived, there was a plan, and I think I did as best as I could to get through that plan as fast as possible to get out to market. I won a few decent clients, but it just wasn't enough to prove product market fit in order to get more investment. So we're in a position of really needed to sell the business. Want to get some kind of outcome for the investors, for the team, and because I didn't want to see that technology go to waste. I wanted to see it being used. So we ended up in kind of an acquisition discussion with Cision, which kind of went through. But that whole period from taking over the business to selling was the most stressful and difficult period of my life.
How long is that? How long a period?
That was a year.
Right.
A year and a bit, effectively, from taking over. And it was like always short of cash, always desperately trying to get the next sale, always desperately trying to kind of share progress, keep the team motivated and engaged, all of which were super talented and could have got a lot more money anywhere else. But we all believed in the mission, right? We believed the technology was worthwhile. So we took it into the acquisition conversation. I think I got my last paycheck in April of 22. Was when I got my last paycheck until we completed the sale in November of 22. And that whole period, I was basically just building up debt and putting my wife through incredible stress. Like we just had a baby in October of 21. So I basically in that period I had like a 6-month to a 1-year-old baby and a job that wasn't paying me any money at all. And everything hung on getting that sale to go through. And I believed that it would. But in hindsight, and this is kind of like the definition of success or a fuck up, right? You could look on paper and go, I sold a business which was in kind of a tough situation. Great job, well done. And if you just look at the financials, you could say that was a success. But you also have to look at the toll that it took on me. I definitely didn't have this much grey hair going into that year. Look at the toll it took on my wife, on our relationship, and I think you have to look back and judge it by those factors as well.
Would you do it again?
On any given day, I don't know the answer to that question. Maybe not. I went through, I was in Iraq, right? I was in Afghanistan, across the Middle East during difficult times. No PTSD. That sale, PTSD.
Wow.
Like just sometimes the hair on the back of my neck stands up. I get emotional thinking about it because it was by far the most difficult thing I've ever done.
What did it feel like when it went through? Was there a sense of relief or just chronic tiredness?
You can't imagine the relief, really, because this is the fuck up. I had no plan B. I was so committed and dedicated to making that happen. It was all I did all day, every day. And you won't believe the amount of effort that goes into selling a business, even a small one. It was all I did all day, every day. So the relief was unbelievable. But yeah, in hindsight, and I said, we had an advisor advising us through the process. And I said to him, that felt really, really hard. And he's like, yeah, that's the hardest acquisition I've seen in 20 years.
Jeez.
That's not what you want to hear.
That's not what I want to hear.
You got a nice swift one, don't you?
Yeah. So I think in hindsight, on paper, a good outcome for the business, but the toll that took, and this is the advice for anyone going through a position. I had that confidence it was going to happen, but I think in hindsight, you need that kind of confidence to be a CEO, right? If you're easily kind of rebuffed or easily swayed, CEO isn't a role for you, right? You have to have that unbelievable, absolute dedication and commitment. And that maybe is what made it happen, but it has also blinded me to, yes, but a plan B would have made a lot of frickin' sense, Yeah. Cultivating some job opportunities elsewhere. But that would have taken time, and I didn't spend that time.
But if you'd started to doubt yourself, the whole thing would have fallen apart.
But it would have fallen apart from a financial perspective, from the business perspective. But it's a private limited company, right? There was going to be no fallback. I would have had a debt, right? And I would have had a waste of time. But I would have got a job, no doubt, kind of somewhere else. I wouldn't have put that much stress on my wife. So it comes down to is it a success or is it a fuck up? If you look at it on paper, it might have been a success, but that was not a success from the perspective of my relationship, from looking after my child, from all those factors, you know?
That sounds like a particular gritty one, and anyone that's thinking of sending a business will be having second thoughts.